Today we're going to talk about animation. Animation is defined as the act of animating the state of being animated or animate or animated. Most of you guys know about animated cartoons, the preparation of animated cartoons. So that's the definition of animation. Who knows how many types of animation that there are? Ms. Joshua?
5.
5. Do you know the types? Okay, there are 5 different types of animation. They are traditional animation, 2D vector-based animation, 3D computer animation, and motion graphics, and stop motion. Let me explain what 2D is. 2D animation is the traditional animation method that has existed since the late 1800s. It is one drawing followed by another in a slightly different pose, followed by another in a slightly different pose on for 24 frames a second. So for an example of that, it would be how South Park first started. If you guys ever watched South Park, or the first episodes of The Simpsons and stuff like that. The next one is 3D. 3D is animating objects that appear in a three-dimensional space that can be rotated and moved like real objects. 3D animation is at the heart of games and virtual reality, but it may also be used in presentation, graphics to add flair to the visual. So the way that The Simpsons are now, you can actually see around them. So it's basically 3D and, like they say, virtual reality. So it's basically the upgrade from 2D. Next we have the traditional animation. It's also known as the classical animation. It is animation technique where each frame is drawn by hand. The technique was the dormant form of animation in cinema until the advent of computer animation. You guys probably never, have anybody ever had the flip books?
Yeah.
So that's basically what it was back in the early 1800s. That's how they made their cartoons, things like that. For those that haven't, they basically just draw one picture on one page, and then they copy the same picture, will draw it again just in a slightly different pose, I guess. And they did an entire book like that. What you did was you basically just flipped through the book, and it actually showed like animation or a movie or cartoon, something of that nature. Next, we have motion graphics. Motion graphics are pieces of digital footage or animation which create the illusion of motion or rotation and are usually combined with audio for use in multimedia projects. Motion graphics can be used with like the iPhone or something like that. Really, a lot of people today use the iPhone and stuff. So like iMovie, the other one that they use on the computer, Adobe, it's a good one too. Then we have stop motion. Animation, stop motion. Animation is a cinematic process or technique used to make static objects appear as if they were moving. The technique is commonly used in claymation and puppet-based animation. So that's basically catching a shot frame by frame. And so with that, it's basically how they make cartoons. I guess you say they change from frame to frame. They just edit it and put it together to make an entire show. So I'm gonna show you guys this quick little video that explains it all right here.
Show you what you can do to pursue career in animation based on the type of animation you're interested in. But if you're just an animation fan, that's okay. This video is going to be a lot of fun for you either way. Just stick around. Now let's get to it. We'll start off with traditional animation. You might call it 2D animation, but it actually places 2D in a different category, and you'll see why later in the video. Traditional animation, sometimes referred to as cell animation, is one of the older forms of animation. In it, the animator draws every frame to create the animation sequence, just like they used to do in the old days at Disney. If you've ever had one of those flip books when you were a kid, you'll know what I mean. Sequential drawings, screened quickly one after another, create the illusion of movement. Traditional animation consists of hand drawings called frames. In the past, the drawing occurred on a big light table, which is basically a drafting table with a big light panel in the middle of it, on which the animator drew the sequence. The light enabled the animator to see his previous drawings through the paper to get a better look of his animation. This is called onion skinning. Nowadays, even traditional animation is being done mostly on computers by using a tablet like the Wacom Cintiq. 2D or traditional animation is usually animated on 12 frames per second, with occasional faster actions animated on 24 frames per second. Japanese animation, however, is known to be animated on a lower frame rate in most cases. Next on the list is 2D animation. When I talk about 2D animation, I'm referring to vector-based animation, like the ones done with Flash. This style has become very popular in the last decade, with the increasing amount of people doing it due to the accessibility of the technology. Flash is cheap and easy to use, such are other vector-based animation programs. The reason I place 2D animation in a different category is that in addition to the option of animating frame by frame, an animator has an option of creating rigs for the characters and then moving the body parts individually instead of drawing the character over and over again. After Effects allows you to create complex rigs for animation, or use the puppet tool to drag and move body parts around. These flexibilities give beginners more option when approaching animation, especially if drawing isn't their strong suit, unlike traditional animation where drawing skills are mandatory. The third type is 3D animation, also known as computer animation, or honestly just animation at this point, since this is the most common form of animation today, just like traditional animation used to just be called animation 30 years ago. 3D animation, however, works in a completely different way than traditional animation. They both require an understanding of the same principles of movement and composition, but the technical skill set is very different for each task. Like I've mentioned before, while in the past you had to be an amazing draftsman to be an animator, with computer animation that is not the case. 3D animation is more similar to playing with puppets rather than drawing. The animator moves the character in a 3D program with special controls that are connected to each body part, such as hands, elbows, lips, etc., and then sets a keyframe when all the body parts are in the right position. They proceed to move forward in time and move all these controls again to create another keyframe. The computer then calculates the journey the body parts is going through between each of those keyframes. A 3D animator will spend most of their time looking at curves that represent the movement of different body parts over time. Another big difference with 3D animation is that unlike traditional animation, the character's body parts are always present and should be taken into consideration. Let me explain. When animating in 2D, the character has to be drawn for every frame. When the character is viewed from the side, half of its body isn't shown and thus isn't drawn. It technically does not exist. It's drawn on a flat page, and there isn't really more to the character other than what the animator draws. With 3D though, the character's body parts always exist in the shot. Even when one hand isn't visible, it's still there. That adds some work for the animator, since we need to be aware of the entire character at all times. The last major difference with 3D animation is the frame rate. Like I said before, traditional animators usually work on twos, which means they draw a new drawing every 2 frames, and thus having one drawing lasts for 2 frames. With 3D animation, however, the motion is always smooth, except for stylized pieces which intentionally try to look different. Having a character stop completely looks like a mistake in 3D. Even when the character is standing still, there should always be some sign of life. This is something 2D animation can get away with much more easily than 3D. Number 4 on our list is motion graphics. While still considered a form of animation, motion graphics is rather different than the other types of animation on the list. Mostly because, unlike the other types, it is not character or story driven. It is the art of creatively moving graphic elements or text, usually for commercial or promotional purposes. Think animated logos, explainer videos, app commercials, television promos, or even film opening titles. The skills for motion graphics don't necessarily translate to the other types of animation, since they don't require knowledge of body mechanics or acting, but they do have some attributes in common, such as understanding good composition and the all-important camera motion. Last but not least is stop motion. Stop motion is a special form of animation that combines live-action filmmaking principles with traditional character animation. Stop motion is done by taking a photo of an object and then moving it just a little bit and taking another photo. The process is then repeated, and when the photos are played back one after another, they give the illusion of movement. This is similar to traditional animation, but it uses real-life material instead of drawings. Let's look at some different styles of stop motion. One of the most popular forms is claymation, working with clay or Play-Doh characters that can easily be manipulated for animation. Advanced claymation, as seen in the Neverhood or Armicrod, uses metal skeletons on which the clay is then molded for more sturdy rigs. Some animators would use regular puppets instead of clay ones, usually also built upon some sort of skeleton rig. The faces of the characters can be replaced based on the expressions or be controlled within the rig. Another popular form of stop motion is cutout, using construction paper or cardboard characters and placing them on paper while shooting the animation from above. That's how South Park was originally made before they switched to computers. Similar to cutout animation, silhouette animation uses cardboard or some kind of flat material, but the objects are all dark, and the shot is depicted with silhouettes only. This is one of the oldest forms of stop motion and is rarely used today. Some use action figures or Lego characters for animation. This genre is very popular on YouTube, with many channels dedicated to creating funny skits with Lego characters. Robot Chicken is a great example of that. They use famous action figures to make fun of pop culture. Then there's pixelation, a form of stop motion that uses real people and real environments to create unreal videos. It uses the stop motion method of taking a still photo, moving things around, and then taking another photo, but the subject matter is usually real people instead of puppets. Alright, so now you know all about the different types of animation. If you're interested in taking things to the next level, I have written a complete guide with step-by-step process to learn each of those 5 types of animation. In each section of the guide, you'll have an overview of the animation style, the best schools that specialize in that style, and the dedicated software you should be using. To read the full guide, go to bloopanimation.com/5 types of animators. Thanks for watching.
Alright, so that explains the 5 types of animation. Anybody think that they can do any of those? Just off the bat?
Yeah.
I think I can. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we'll put you guys on the spot. We are about to get in groups. You can get in groups. It's what, 11 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh no. Groups of 2 then, since we have 5 groups of 2, and you guys are actually gonna act out a stop motion scene for the class. That's what we're gonna do. So, do anybody remember how to do a stop motion scene?
Picture by picture.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry about the cameras. We're not gonna get that. But you're right though. You're gonna do it frame by frame to show how it would look with if you were taking it frame by frame, and then we'll put it together. So what we're gonna do is get in groups right quick. So y'all in groups, y'all in groups, y'all in groups. Alright, let's see. I want a scene from you guys. I don't know, come up with one. What y'all gonna do? Anything.
So, act like you playing basketball.
Basketball. What you guys gonna act out?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe. What you guys gonna do? Anything.
Kickball. Play kickball.
We about to play kickball again.
Kickball. What y'all gonna do? It don't matter.
Shoot.
Shoot. Alright, so let's see you guys play football. Don't you guys do?
Basketball.
Basketball, okay.
Play football.
So you gonna hold
Yeah.
defense?
What you gotta do is like slow.
You're completely not too much. We're gonna play
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back here.
Like, don't act like you know, like somebody take a picture, you gotta like move like slowly.
I think I know how to do that. You need a ball. You need a
I
ball.
don't need a ball.
Just act it out. We ain't got no ball.
Okay.
I'll wait on you. Come on.
Snap.
Are you gonna? Okay.
Snap. Wait, which one of y'all playing defense? What you
She
doing?
playing defense.
Oh, I can't tell.
Jocelyn, you better get in.
You gotta actually get that whole defense.
Oh my god. Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on. Come on.
That's how fast you gotta go.
I know.
You gotta
If
catch
you
it frame by frame.
Yeah.
Slow by slow.
Yeah.
You
'cause
gonna
you
be
supposed
taking
to
the
be-
picture like
Yeah.
snap.
You should take a picture. This would be nice. Come on.
We gonna do it again.
You don't look very backward. See, I'm running. Alright.
Okay, that was basketball. Baseball.
Cause she showing really late.
Let's see what baseball gonna do.
Alright, Arthur.
Can't see you're the picture.
Scoot up a little bit.
I just strike you out.
No, maybe it's gonna be just a slight toss, okay?
Boy, we got
You know,
That's definitely
that was not a good
That's
swing,
not
Arthur.
it. That's not it. You gotta catch it frame by frame, so you guys gotta
Okay,
act like somebody's taking y'all pitching.
okay.
So they go what? From right there. That's where you gonna start.
This is where I'm gonna start.
That's how you start from when you pitching. From right here. You don't come right
I'm gonna start right
here.
here.
Okay. So snap,
Then I'm gonna go back,
snap,
go back some more.
snap, snap, snap. Why you swinging so early? She didn't even do the ball. You swinging.
Maybe he
You gotta wait. You gotta wait.
Okay.
See the pitching and you like
The
this
ball's
already.
in my
Okay.
hand.
You
Okay.
definitely
Okay.
gonna strike out.
Now swing?
I don't know. You
You
tell
was taking the snap,
Oh,
my
okay. Let's start over.
Okay. Okay, so I'm
Wind
gonna
up. Snap. Okay. Snap. Snap.
That's sweet.
Snap. Snap. Why you leaving me the ball? You're out of there, man.
Come on,
let me
empty.
see.
I'm trying to figure
Can we
out.
do
What
our
was y'all?
tic-tac-toe on the
Tic tac
board?
toe. Yeah, we can definitely do
I was trying to think, how you gonna do it over there?
Get a marker. I don't know what part that
Y'all could have did a cheer.
Can I go ahead and draw the board or do you like?
No, you gotta, it's snap by snap.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going
Is he gonna snap,
Yeah,
Yeah.
snap.
Snap.
No, that's a snap.
Snap. Snap. Snap. Snap.
Alright, guys, snap.
Yeah, that's two snaps right there. You can put stuff on your whole board right there. You can put, that's two
That's
snaps.
a snap.
Snap. Snap.
Now do your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jiggle.
That's one.
Half
Yeah,
on the circle.
half.
How about that?
Snap.
Snap. Snap. I hope y'all lose. Y'all talk about it. Snap. 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 Snap.
She gonna lose.
Two way. Snap. Snap.
Wait, that's you, Alex. No, don't be crazy. Wait.
Snap. 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 So we know who can't play tic tac.
Snap. There you go.
And she signed it off.
Alright, Josh.
Come on, Josh.
Y'all ready for us to play kickball? Yeah.
Y'all all want to play kickball anyway?
Not
You
you.
roll the ball this way. Shit, I was gonna stand by me. Are y'all ready? You know, they'd be ready, they'd be like,
Back to them
they'd be like
sixth
this, they ready?
Yeah.
Snap.
Too
Snap.
fast, slow down.
Snap.
What kind of ball you rolling? And they'd be like, ready, they'd be like,
Snap.
come on.
I just snapped.
Okay, snap
snap.
faster.
Snap.
And they'd be like,
Snap.
You gotta act like the people in the movie there. You gotta do them like that.
that'd be great.
Michael and Yellow.
Y'all say y'all gonna tie y'all shoe? So how would y'all do that one?
You gotta untie.
Snap. 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 Snap.
Oh,
That is it, man. That's, what was that called?
Stop motion and
Stop motion. So, let's see, that was what, groups of 2?
Yes.
Alright, now it's up to you guys getting groups of 3. Somebody's gonna have a group of 4. Got 4, so, okay, we got 3, we need 3.
dang, okay.
Y'all 3 and y'all 3. So we got 4 right here. So right here, we need somebody over there. We need somebody over there. Okay, all we're gonna do, you guys, I'm not gonna give you guys a script. You guys have to come up with something off the top of your head in front of the class, yes.
Like like actual like this,
Yeah.
not stop motion.
This is stop motion, but you have to come up with, you guys got about a minute to prepare.
Do we have to copy it?
No,
No,
you
you
don't.
can't
Because
capture
you're
sound.
taking pictures.
You can't
Oh,
capture
okay.
sound.
So what?
Can't do something that was just done.
They did baseball.
Okay,
So what
Well,
you
technically she did.
Music.
Okay, we can try.
Alright, so who's
Okay.
the drums and.
You can hit the drums. You
I
can
know.
triangle.
Nobody can have the same option,
And then you can play.
Wait, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Are you the big person who does this? Okay.
Okay,
You
you're not
can
doing
do
it.
this.
Okay, go up.
I'll do this.
Now you're on to the side. Side. Like an angle.
Okay, look. You ain't gonna do that.
And then
Oh, she
you
is the
try.
person, the director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You want DeMarco to be able to launch it?
We can do the answer.
Or you can.
Okay.
Alright.
One.
No, you can do
One.
this.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
That's how you do it.
And you have to go to her a drum. So you go to the drum.
Or just do the drums.
Or else you're gonna go off.
I don't even know what to do.
Is it, oh, W,
Oh,
Happy birthday to you, sir.
N, O.
No, we're about to, oh, jumping you. Well,
What is it gonna look like? You can't capture sound. remember?
Okay,
we're about to spell it out. You know, you know how to be.
We're gonna do
yeah, you just do like,
That's what we're about
That's
to
what we're gonna
do.
do.
We needed 4 people, but you know, y'all two
Okay, so what y'all gonna do?
Well, no, let me
Get
do
a line.
it.
Y'all gonna cut?
And she gonna break it up.
Okay.
Step your glasses up.
What y'all doing?
they already doing it, they got practicing.
They got, yep. I gotta come up with something now.
They gonna teach you.
We're about to RWLS.
Look, there's some basketball,
Do football. Now we're doing football.
Y'all, I don't know what to do with this.
Josh gonna hold you, you gonna throw the ball to me.
Or have I crack work it out, look.
Girl, please. She crossed both of them.
So, who's gonna be the first one to act out their scene?
Wait,
Now,
and then go
We
first.
got ourselves together. Mortal Kombat, that's what we're gonna call y'all.
And know what it is.
So what y'all fight for? Y'all just fight, y'all just in the streets fight. He looked at you, okay, okay, I got you. So look, you gotta look at it first, you gotta look at it the wrong way first.
Oh, okay, okay.
We gotta start from jump.
Oh, okay. You gonna take a picture of that?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I'm supposed to look it up. You look at me wrong. You look at me wrong.
This how you gotta do, stand there like
Snap,
this.
okay, you mean mugging, snap.
Alright, so.
Y'all don't know
There
this.
you
Oh.
go, Keanu, do this.
Snap, 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 snap. Snap, 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 snap,
Don't break it up.
snap,
No.
snap. She finna hit you back.
Oh.
Snap,
No.
snap, 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 snap,
You don't need that kitchen.
snap,
Not even low.
snap, snap,
No, you don't need
Snap.
that.
Alright.
I
I break it up.
snap.
Get away.
If I start to
Yeah, she was like, guys, break it up, break it up, break it up.
I can see that.
Just know we ain't ready to let them go.
We got,
The baby.
rock band, alright?
rock band, our rock band,
Regular band.
triangle.
Get over there. You
Get
can
Get the drums first.
Oh, drum line.
Get the drums.
Drum Nick Cannon.
Okay, I can't do this.
Are you gonna start snapping?
Okay, wait. What did you have?
A triangle.
Oh, okay. You got the drum line. You got
The trumpet.
trumpet. Okay.
That's not how you hold a trumpet.
How do you hold
It's
the
the
trumpet?
other hand.
It's like
It don't
this, your
matter.
right hand is.
It's 3 fingers on top.
Well,
Yeah.
we're just gonna pretend.
Okay. Snap. 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 I don't know what
Arthur,
song
are you-
y'all are playing, but it is horrible. It is horrible.
Barely doing his job.
He's like,
Horrible.
We done changed like 30 times.
I believe it, so y'all should be A1.
We should do it.
I'm sure.
What we got?
Told you that.
Huh?
We should do it baseball.
Baseball. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm already on
They already
strike two.
did baseball.
Strike
I
two.
tried to tell her. I
Okay,
told
well,
her.
they
She
did baseball.
wouldn't listen to me.
Do football. Everybody do football.
One quarterback.
Okay.
Quarterback.
Okay, we got
Do you even
quarterback.
know where the quarterback goes?
I was playing baseball because I don't know what we're
You
doing
just
no more.
be down.
Where? I don't know nothing about no
You gonna be
football.
like.
What I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
be
be
center.
the center.
You're
I'm the
center.
coach. I'm the
Do I-
coach.
am
I'm
I-
on the side.
Am I behind you or in front of
In
you?
front of her.
I don't know nothing
Act
about
like
no
you know, but
yelling.
face the other
You be
way.
like down
Face
there,
him.
hood.
You gonna turn the other way?
Johnson said.
You're the one that snaps the ball back behind your
Yeah,
legs.
say
Okay.
down. See, I remember that part.
Okay.
Oh, no.
You ready?
I have to
Okay,
blow
so
my whistle. Y'all
You
ready?
gonna blow the
Uh-huh.
So you the coach?
Yep, I'm gonna whistle though.
Or you have
looks like act like you got
Let's go, check out.
Are y'all ready? Y'all ready? Come on, you
Snap.
ain't got no sound.
Snap. Snap.
You guard the person, you come on.
Yeah, I told you I don't know nothing about no
Block,
football.
You block the people that are coming. That's what you do.
Shoot.
Alright, we're gonna restart.
We're gonna do this again.
Restart.
Like,
How about
You
you
snap the
get in
ball.
front of her and she can block you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she can know what she doing.
Well, this y'all pay attention during football games. Cause I'm
You trying to
You trying to
get
get to me.
Kiana. Yeah.
I don't want to. I do this. I
You
don't
just
play
run,
football.
try to
Yeah.
Trying to get to me.
Try
Trying
to
to
get
get
around.
around.
because we
Try to
taking
get
a picture.
around.
No.
So we're gonna say.
You want me to crouch down? Okay, let's go.
No, yeah.
Come on.
Do he
Y'all
crouch
play
down?
football.
Yes, he
Yeah.
Crouch
Get
down.
ready.
How you crouch
Like
down?
this.
Get down.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, put your hand on the floor. Good job. All right, you ready? Come on,
Snap.
This is why I don't play football.
Snap. Snap.
Now get up.
Hey, on. Get the ball. Try to get the ball.
What else?
Snap.
Yeah.
Smoke ball. Do you want me to the ball?
You were the worst center.
I am.
Snap.
Not you.
Oh.
Snap.
So now she made a touchdown.
Touchdown.
Oh, man. That's why I don't play football.
Never play football.
Never, ever. Your center and your defense.
If we ever got that little
Hard.
That's
above you,
awesome. What about
I know Thompson don't need to play.
Alright,
Josh don't know
so
about no football.
y'all
All I know
voting
is
for
when they
football
score.
quarterback next year? Wait, they don't need to vote.
okay, so we had fighting, football,
Man.
band. Wow. So this is what we're going.
Who you vote for the best? I think it was us.
Oh no, you guys definitely came in last. You guys definitely came in last.
It was
Hey,
because
but
awesome,
we, hey,
wasn't it?
no, it was because of you too.
Ours was a band practice. That's
Band
what we're gonna
practice.
say.
Okay, because I don't know what song this is right here.
Don't
But
be
Over there.
I don't know. It don't look too appealing anyway.
Hey
So
now.
We're gonna be better than this though, man.
I hope so, because that's you guys' next project. You guys are going to have to write a script for the entire class to do. So, we got 10 people, get in groups of 5. So one person come over here.
Come on, y'all.
Yeah, we just need one person over here.
Alright.
Alright, so you guys are gonna write a stop motion for them to act out. You guys are gonna write a stop motion for them to act out. So, you guys got,
Write it up and talk it out.
y'all can talk it out because they gonna act it out for y'all real quick. You guys got about 2 minutes to come up with some type of scene. Oh, each person in the group has to have a role though. Each person has to. Yeah.
You got the director
We got the person of the class.
and the
I
and
do a flyer.
No, no, no.
Oh,
No,
I know, 'cause Kim
three
was
of
getting my
them,
paper.
three of them are singing.
Y'all ain't got it right.
One
Y'all
got
just
the
talk about it.
tambourine.
Just say it.
And the
Hey,
one
low,
is
I
singing
mean, in the
conductor.
hospital.
Yeah. One, and then one to go stand in the front like this.
That better be me.
Alright, and you got
You gonna be that Shakisha choir.
one director and one clapper.
Or a tambourine. Like me.
The director can have the tambourine,
Yeah.
so they can be tapping the tambourine and then they clap.
I should make him play baseball because that's something he can't do.
Let's see.
I was talking.
I'll be here for that.
Do we get to decide which person does what?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's gonna be?
Josh.
Josh. Okay. But you're not really hearing it.
She ready.
Don't play with me.
Turn
Don't play with me.
Alright, that's you. Okay, so we're going to do.
But then that's on.
Okay.
You need somebody else.
A-N-A.
It's only 4 people in the club.
There's 3 seats in the back.
Okay, gotta be somebody else.
Is that right, the whole thing there?
I would like.
Do we just write like who they are, or just write what they do?
Huh?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Good job.
Oh, shit.
No, she can't.
Okay.
That's gonna hurt you. Yeah.
30 seconds. 30
They
seconds.
gonna line up in threes and tap ready for stand here in front.
Can I go on the side? Singers and then the choir.
Yeah. Alright, yeah.
The director has to be in the front.
Well, stand them off to the side.
It'll be
Like, line them up in the line.
like,
Like, stand on the side. And the director stand in front.
You make you jump across the road.
Okay, in the eight, in the quiet.
Okay. So
Quiet.
you know,
10, 9,
Wait, I can't write that.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Yeah, we gonna go for it.
They're not gonna know
I
right.
said one pitch.
You don't have to get me. You don't have to get me.
We going
No, you don't
first.
have to get me.
Oh, I thought you were going
So y'all go first?
Yeah. No, like, we
Okay, y'all do it.
so
Yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
get.
Let me see. I can't look at that first. I can't look at that first.
Okay,
You gonna see y'all.
You told me not to give it to you.
Where I am.
we gonna need Josh.
Oh.
I'm not cheering.
you ain't
Whatever they told you, you gotta do. You gotta do
You should
it.
drive.
You gotta do it.
I'm a driver.
Yeah,
Y'all
y'all.
squat. No,
It's
no.
one.
Sit down. You driving.
And then,
Y'all shy.
no, Grace in the front.
Oh, okay.
And then y'all two in the back.
Huh? Y'all gotta squat.
Yeah,
And
y'all
y'all
gotta
you the
squat.
deer.
This
Like,
is the
you
father. You
want-
going. This is the father.
Y'all gotta squat like this. Like
You're
right
gonna die.
Can we just sit in our seats and scoot?
I'm not. This is
You gotta walk. You gotta walk.
No.
We might
Put your
just.
seatbelts on.
Wait a minute. Now I can hear.
I'm a driver. Why am I walking?
So
Cause the car
this
moving.
is
The car
it.
moving.
Yeah, y'all gotta walk together.
Yeah, we gotta all walk together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right foot,
foot.
left foot.
Now they gotta snap. So
Okay.
You said right foot. Right foot first.
Yeah.
Right foot first. Okay, come on, y'all ready?
Y'all
who's
ready?
snapping? Young
He the
Hot.
deer.
You,
So
I mean, you walk that
Oh,
way.
you the deer?
Yeah.
I thought we're gonna die.
Yeah, this way.
You gotta jump out when they.
When you see when they
How are we
get close.
supposed to react when we hit this deer?
You gonna get out the car.
You gonna get out the car and get
Be
off.
shot.
Them two gonna get out and be mad and jump, drop.
Oh, and
drop.
John. No.
We're gonna jump her?
Yeah.
Y'all done knocked y'all
Alright,
feet
Y'all
out.
gonna pull out the
Big
car.
ways.
Y'all gonna pull out the side and jump and stumble.
Oh, okay.
Am I supposed to fall?
Johnson dance. You had the hand on the steering wheel. They're kind of like this. I'm like.
Okay,
Y'all ready?
okay, go.
Snap.
Right foot first.
Y'all gotta scream
Snap.
before you hit them.
Snap. Snap.
They
Snap.
can't capture sound though.
Snap.
Yeah, good looks.
Yeah.
Okay, Arthur, we hit you. Get down.
Yeah, what's the politics?
Get out the car.
Because you know Johnson can't
You
drive.
moved too fast. You moved too fast.
Snap. 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 Snap.
You gotta get.
Snap. Stop it. Snap. Snap. Snap.
Wanna put my feet on it?
Get a face.
Arthur, you dead. You need to lay down. You sure supposed to be dead. No, you shouldn't know. All right. Y'all know y'all petty. Good job.
Okay.
Okay.
You're over here. Michael, stand right here.
Yeah.
Y'all better not play football with you.
Fiona,
No, we're not.
you're right here.
Yeah. Right here, right here.
And you're over beside her. And then
They're doing it this way.
you're the
Yeah.
director.
Wait a minute, which way?
Face that way.
You're right.
Well,
You
face
come here.
this way, but go over that way.
Yeah.
Face
This
that
This
way.
way. Our way. Yeah.
I'm directing
Stand down there.
You're gonna
Like
be
Kiana.
in between.
And
Michael
Kiana, you
and-
stand where I'm
You're gonna be
standing.
the front.
And you're
Josh, you stand where Josh is standing.
Michael.
What?
You said the left side, this is the whole
Okay, so you like you
You're the
clap the
clapper.
whole time.
Oh, I got.
You clap the
Y'all,
whole
I'm
time.
crazy.
You
Y'all
are.
crazy.
And
Hey,
then
me,
you're
I love
You're no, he's a high.
He
You're a high.
You a high pitcher.
So
You're
like, open your
medium
mouth
and
different
she's
ways?
low.
High,
medium or
you
high?
medium, and
She
you low.
high,
You're the
medium,
low.
low.
High, medium, low. So just open. See.
And
Yeah.
you're the
Stand
director
this
with
way,
Pam
'cause she
Green.
can't see.
Yeah,
This
you.
way.
Oh, choir.
Yeah, move
Yeah,
this
that.
way.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah,
let
come
me
over
rotate
here.
this.
Baby.
Just get where they
Wow.
go.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Josh, you
all
have
out
to
of
be off
order.
because you got you the clapper. You got to be
Okay,
outside.
Frank, you just lead them.
Okay. Y'all got to rock from side to side too.
Side to side.
Open
yeah.
your mouth like you singing.
Yeah.
Y'all got to be on one accord.
Alright.
go that way first.
You ready?
Josh, you got to be clapping the whole time.
Ready?
Slow motion though.
No,
You
come
gonna
here.
get high.
Y'all about to.
All right.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Tiana, you got to tell them when they come in. Okay.
Alright, snap,
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 snap.
Snap. Snap. Snap.
You're not rocking?
I know you're singing!
I'm the only one rocking over here.
Snap. Snap.
It's hard.
Snap. Wait, Keon, you rocking too fast. You go rock, you start, and go like
Snap.
this. Snap.
Snap.
We're the worst choir. We're the worst.
Snap.
Snap.
That's why we picked this topic. Snap.
Yeah, you see
Y'all are
what
rocking the wrong way, Josh.
Oh,
Snap.
I'm
Snap.
sorry.
You're the worst clapper.
She loves it.
Okay. Y'all are good choir.
It's so great. That's the A plus.
No, it's a, we get better than
Okay,
y'all.
no, Jocelyn, you died last year. It's all over here.
Oh,
I got beat up.
Snap.
You go, Keon.
Alright, so let me see. We've had softball, kickball,
Baseball.
Basketball.
basketball, fight, tennis shoes,
Tic-tac-toe.
tic-tac-toe. What was another one?
Car accident.
Car accident, car.
That
And
was,
a
that was-
choir.
that was top dog right there. The
Mortal
whole
Kombat.
gear thing and
Yeah.
everything.
Hold on, wait a minute. So they little car scene was good, and the deer didn't even stay dead long.
I know what y'all.
He came back to life.
Y'all bringing back spirits.
They didn't say how hard y'all hit.
Jocelyn, I want to hear it because you're with y'all choir. I'm not with them.
No, it ain't my fault. Y'all can't rock. Y'all directors didn't do nothing.
Alright, so, we are actually, that was what, stop?
Yes.
Stop
motion.
Yeah. So I'll just make sure y'all paying attention to them. Stop motion animation, so what we are going to actually do is, we're actually gonna do a real project with this, and we're gonna actually put it on the computer, and we're gonna edit it. So you guys need to actually start, thinking of ideas of a sketch that you guys wanna partake in. I'm gonna give it up to you guys. Do you guys wanna do big groups, small groups, individuals? What do you guys wanna do?
No, it's individuals.
Yeah. Wait, what we do?
That's for
Okay, not individuals? So big group, big group is class whole.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means everybody has to have a role. You guys have to come together and make the script.
Okay.
So, ideals of the script. What do you guys wanna do?
I want her to fight someone. She gonna be mad.
Why we always fighting in
I
school?
swear.
We always fighting in school.
Let's do a love scene.
A love scene, like,
Who gonna be
hey,
in
how you
love?
doing?
No, it's gonna be a love fighting scene. See, Josh gonna be
Love
caught
fighting.
cheating.
No,
We
we
don't want to use that.
are not gonna do that one. Okay, so let me see, we can do what?
We can do like Romeo and Juliet.
No, Romeo, Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet.
That's a
really?
good one.
Okay, we have 2 stars. What is everybody else gonna do? Everybody has to have a role.
We ain't doing
Okay.
I'll be the
Don't make it
I don't see
so
nobody.
hard
I'm
on
not doing no
yourself.
pepper rally. This too
That could work though.
What?
A pep rally.
Why did you
We got a dancer, we got cheerleaders,
we got football players.
No football players.
I'm the
But
audience.
that could be
The
one.
Eagles
and
part.
then a band.
I'll be the mascot.
That is easy.
You just lazy and everything.
You could be, you and Arthur could be the football players walking in.
See, you ain't gotta do that.
So overall, we have pep rally.
Yes.
All right. So we have football players. What are they gonna do?
They gonna walk in.
That's how they gonna
Walk
do.
in and sit in the chairs.
That's all they can do.
I don't know. So okay, we got who's cheerleading.
One of them.
Oh, okay, it's 2
Them
of them.
three. Those three.
No, she don't.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean,
Arthur.
with 2.
2 of them. What are they
Then
gonna do? How y'all
Keanu's the
gonna?
dancer.
I'm all right here.
We're gonna do like.
Yeah.
I can do it with you. I know how to do
Okay, we got 2 dancers,
stupid thing
2
y'all do.
cheerleaders. Y'all gonna do like a little mini cheer. When
And then me and Grace can sit in the audience.
well,
You why you gotta be
Oh,
Oh, that's the veil.
yeah, that's in the class. So think of this overnight. Be ready to come up with something tomorrow. All right, man. You guys have.